Good morning. Good morning. Happy Thursday. Today is May 12th, 2022. I am so glad that you were able to make it and to share your morning with me. My name is Carol White, and I would like to welcome you to this week's episode of When Life Needs a Detox. When it comes to tithing, I've always wondered. Now, I don't want to take up a whole lot of you guys' time. So I'm just going to hop right in. If you've got your cup of coffee, get your cup of coffee. If you've a mind to disagree or agree, bring it on. Let's have a good time today. Today's topic on When Life Needs a Detox, on the subject of tithing, I've always wondered, is this: tithe on the gross or tithe on the net? Which one is correct? The act of tithing comes with several challenges, but it seems to me that the greatest challenge comes from ideologies that most people don't know the origins of or have never questioned due to habit and or fear of being singled out or ridiculed. The challenge is most prominent when trying to determine which amount of your paycheck you're supposed to tithe from, your gross or your net. Now, I must be truthful on this. This question has always plagued me, and no matter who I asked, the answers have always been less than satisfactory. Here are a couple of answers I've gotten over the decades of tithing. Who are you to question the word of God? Y'all know that person. Well, you didn't question tithing when you were receiving your blessings, did you? If your faith was stronger, this wouldn't be a question. Really? Ask less, tithe more. That don't even answer the daggone question. You have a lot to learn about Christianity. I ain't the only one, but okay. Now, after years of getting responses like these, I stopped asking. It finally dawned on me that they may not know any more than I did, and they just didn't want to admit it. I also figured that the question didn't come up very often, and that it was a very disturbing question to the powers that be. So now let's look at tithing on the gross. Let's just look at it. Now let's say you make $5,000 a month gross. I know it's on the low end, but I work good with smaller numbers. Now, your tithe on that amount per month is $500. So now, when you tithe on the gross, you're tithing on your Social Security deductions, your pension deductions, annuity deductions, and Medicare deductions. And all of these four are the finances that you're setting up for your retirement. Now, the question comes for me is very simply this: if I'm currently tithing on these sources of my retirement income, am I now required to tithe on that income now that I'm receiving it? Okay. Or am I supposed to figure out what portion of these income sources are are payments that haven't been tithed on, and then now I need to be tithing on this balance? You see how this can get confusing? And see, Me and numbers don't always get along. Now, I found this very interesting article. It's called Tithing and Giving in Retirement, and it's by a gentleman named C.J. Cagle. Now, according to him, that there are solutions to the question that I had. So let's get into some of the answers or potential answers. Let's talk about pension and Social Security funds. Now, pensions and Social Security are funded 50% by the employee, which is me, and 50% by my job. Therefore, when I retire, which I've done, and I've tithed on the gross, I am to tithe 50% of what I actually receive. Now, that's if I'm working for an employer. But here's an interesting thing. If you are self-employed and you set up a pension fund and you're putting into Social Security and you tithe on your gross, since these funds are now solely funded by you, there's no tithe because it's already been tithed upon. Now, second thing, annuities. Now, these are very similar to the Social Security and pensions. If you've tithed on your gross, you would tithe only after you received back the full amount of money you paid into your annuity. Simple. Now, a retirement savings account. These are your IRAs or SEPs. I have been trying to find out what an SEP is, but now I'm figuring this is also what they call the tax sheltered annuity or deferred compensation payments. But these are fully funded by the individual. So you wouldn't tithe until you collected all of the pre-tithe contributions, which means everything that you put into this, that amount of money you don't tithe on. However, this is an interest earning account. So you're going to have to tithe on the interest that accrued. You also have to take into consideration as well, since it's an interest earning account, as long as the money is in the account, it's accruing interest. You got math to do. Now, 401ks and 403b accounts, they work along the same lines as the retirement savings. But these are funded by employer contributions as well. Now, your tithe would not be owed on the money that you pre-tithed on if you're tithing on your gross. But the same as with your retirement savings, these accounts earn interest and continue to grow. So basically, with this account, if I'm understanding this correctly, what you put into your 401k and you've done your pre-tithing, you don't have to tithe on that money. But there's only 50% of what's in the account. Your employer put in the rest. So you have to tithe on that amount of money. Plus, you got to come in and tithe on the interest that was earned on not only your contribution, but your employer's contribution. Again, math. Now, let's talk about Medicare. Now, Medicare is specifically a medical insurance plan that you pay into so that the government will make payments to your medical providers for services and procedures, which means you will receive far more than you ever put in. However, as these funds are never given to you and they're paid directly to your medical providers, it's really not part of your income. So tithing would not be required. Now, like I said before, Math is not my strong suit. So trying to figure out all of these numbers and percentages and portions would just drive me nuts. I'm the kind of person that tithes on the net. And I'm going to tell you why. For me, it seems that tithing on the net eliminates the need for all of the math. Now, you have to understand, this is just the way I think. I know my strong suits. I know my limitations. Math, intricate math is a limitation. So I tithe on what I know I can handle. And on the way I figured it, if I'm tithing on the net, I simply tithe on what I actually received in my paycheck. So now I know as a retiree, I owe tithe on my pension. I'd owe tithe on Social Security, but I also figured if I had my pension and deferred compensation, I wouldn't need Social Security. So, but if that wasn't your train of thought, I tithe on my pension. I'm going to tithe on my deferred compensation whenever I go to sign up for it, because right now it's not necessary. And I would have to tithe on Social Security. Okay. For me, that's no muss, no fuss, and straight to the point. The big question is, which one does the Lord require? Here's what I've discovered. The Lord doesn't bless you solely on the money that you tithe. Now, He's going to bless you, but the Lord blesses you on how freely and willingly and lovingly you give your tithe. He blesses you on the way people can see Him through you as you carry yourself through this life. Tithing is representative of your personal relationship with God, and it's nobody's business what or how you tithe. So at the end of the day, any way you tithe is correct. That's me. I said it and I stand by it. As long as I give my money to God, my tithe to God with an open, free, and loving heart, God is going to bless me. And He will bless you too. And that's all I have to say about that. Ladies and gentlemen, that is my time. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me this morning and having this conversation. I'm going to put in the feed, in the comment section, the name and the title of the article that I referenced, so that if you'd like to read the whole thing, you can. And you can make up your own mind as to how or what you will tithe. I am so glad you spent your time with me. Once again, my name is Carol White, and this has been When Life Needs a Detox. On the subject of tithing, I've always wondered. I love you guys to the moon and back, and I hope to see you next week at this very same time. I love you all. Take care. Bye-bye.